Hi, I'm the compost guy at the Auróra Climate Garden. A lot of people ask us, what's a climate garden exactly? So I'd like to tell you a little bit about what it is, how we did it, and why it's good for the climate. This is what it looks like. It's just a forest growing out of a parking lot in the heart of the inner city Budapest. It's a rest area, a work area, a meeting place for groups and events, and a food forest. It's 5 years old now, and stable enough that we didn't need to use any city water this year, only rainwater to irrigate. It was the hottest year on record, but it survived. The trees are big enough that they make their own mulch now, too. It's completely self-sufficient. It's green infrastructure. By the way, we made it out of trash with no financial support, just volunteer work. Let me tell you more about how we did it. We started with a regular stream of kitchen waste. Then we got a lot of leaf bags and cardboard, and with that we made a lot of compost. We then dug holes in this parking lot and put that compost and more leaves onto the new beds. Soon, trees were growing. We dedicated a little time once or twice a week, and 5 years later, we have a young forest. There are more than 180 trees here, and many more plants. We have a couple of tiny oak trees that could be here for hundreds of years. This is a great thing for the local environment. It does all the ecological services. It cleans the air, the soil, and rain, protects against floods and erosion. It reduces noise and wind, increases plant and animal biodiversity, and it moderates temperature extremes in our neighborhood. Green areas also help with well-being and security in the area. But we wanted our garden to be good for the climate. The global climate problem is all about carbon. It's about how much carbon is in the atmosphere. When we keep our waste in our neighborhood for composting, before the city takes it away in trucks, less fossil fuels are burnt. Money is saved. But if we burn our leaves, that carbon goes straight back into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. If kitchen waste and garden waste go to landfill, they emit methane, another greenhouse gas. But if we keep these carbon wastes in our neighborhood and compost them correctly, where they're produced, we avoid CO2 emissions and we do less harm to the atmosphere. The emissions question is a big political one. It's a global problem and there is no global government to fix it. We must tell our national governments to stop fossil fuel production. Yes, we must reduce our consumption, especially of plastics, but even if we stopped emitting all carbon today, there's still 125 years of CO2 that we've put into the sky, and most of it is in the ocean now. Carbon neutral is good, but we want to do more. In the Climate Garden, we've started bringing carbon out of the atmosphere. We draw it down and sink it back into the ground. We do this with trees. Plants have been eating and storing carbon for 500 million years. They photosynthesize CO2 into sugar, then make themselves out of those carbohydrates. Yes, trees are mostly made of air. So until the politicians get serious about emissions, we need to start building carbon-eating tree systems to draw that carbon down. But we can also do this by changing the way that we manage the trees in our neighborhoods and gardens. Think of what we do with those trees when they die or get sick. What do we do with all that carbon in the leaves they drop every year? Well, most often we send it away to be burned. It goes back up in the sky, and then we plant another tree in its place and say, look, we're still carbon zero. But we're really not. We've lost years of climate work. Yes, we can sell them for firewood, but what if we made benches or furniture with the big pieces and chipped up all the little pieces and mulched them back down where we find them? You don't have to walk far in this city to find a tree or park or yard that needs mulch. In a climate garden, soil building is the real key to helping biodiversity and the climate. The soil is the real carbon sink. Tree planting can only help the climate if we keep the sequestered carbon down in the ground for a long time. The good news is, the more carbon we put in the ground, the more we help the environment and biodiversity too. Because carbon in soil holds onto rainwater longer, the more rain we hold onto, the stronger our green infrastructure will be. It's a positive feedback loop. Land use in the city is a very difficult problem, but maybe it's an enormous resource too. There's a lot of degraded land or underused space in the city which could benefit from what we do here. There's a lot of potential in parks and streets, schoolyards, courtyards, or backyards to increase soil quality where we already have started with trees. Our climate garden is a place to find out what grows in a city, how to build soil, how to manage water, and how to reuse and compost waste to help in the climate crisis. By tapping into the experience we've gained here and by applying our climate garden methods to your context, our neighborhoods and cities can be more resilient to climate problems and stay more livable in the face of greater climate extremes. One garden isn't going to fix the atmosphere. There isn't one silver bullet solution. So we need to do everything we can, wherever we can, as soon as we can. If a climate garden looks like a fun way you can do your part, come take a look for yourself. Or get together with a friend or neighbor, start an active community project. We can get our cities ready for the future and do our part for the climate too.